Hi everybody, David here from Libertygate and welcome to our latest property market update. We're here now in May 2021 and the roadmap out of lockdown is in full swing. Restrictions are being lifted, consumer confidence is returning, and that's having a dramatic impact on the property market. So let's firstly take a look at the sales market. So normally in January of every year we see a huge flurry of activity on the market where sellers look to list their properties and buyers look to get out there and make that purchase for the new year. This year that didn't happen due to the sudden lockdown restrictions, and since then to today we've seen a build-up of demand but the properties were just not there. So what that means is we're now seeing unprecedented demand which is breaking records across the property market. Now, with renewed confidence and the uncertainty lifting, we're now in the midst of a buyer frenzy. The national average house price has now hit a record high of just under $328,000. And in March alone, house prices increased by a massive 2.1%. That equates to just over £6,700 in 1 month. Here in Nottingham city centre, house prices have increased by a whopping 10% over the last 12 months alone. And that's because of a shortage of properties coming to the market and huge pent-up demand to live in the city centre. On a £150,000 apartment, that means it's increased up to £165,000, and that's a whopping £15,000 just in 12 months. So we're now in record-breaking territory with buyer demand at an all-time high and the stock level of property at its lowest. We're also in the fastest selling market ever recorded, with the average number of days on market now standing at just 45 days. We're seeing apartments in the city centre sell within 72 hours of going on the market at over asking price. But the hottest properties right now are actually 3-bedroom semi-detached homes. So one thing to keep an eye on is the ongoing cladding issues with apartments and the EWS1 certificate. This is meaning some buildings are unmortgageable. So the key thing is, if you're looking to buy or sell an apartment, even in this market, make sure you do your research on this and speak to your agent. One last thing to mention is the stamp duty holiday, which undoubtedly has helped fuel the buyer demand. This has now been extended to the end of June for purchases up to $500,000 and then till the end of September up to $250,000. So for those buyers that do still want that saving, there is still time, but you do need to move quick. So here are our top tips on buying and selling in a fast-paced market. Now, if you're looking to sell right now, the first thing you need to be thinking about is how you present your property. Because there's a lot of choice out there, we're seeing that staged and well-presented properties are getting a lot more interest and subsequently more offers. Secondly, it's hit the market now while the demand is so high. You can benefit from all of this buyer frenzy, achieve the highest possible price and in a super quick time. And lastly, be prepared if you're onward purchasing, and I'll cover more detail on that in the buyer tips. So if you're looking to buy right now, the supply is so low with so many buyers chasing the same properties. The biggest tip is to be as prepared as possible. The first thing to do is make sure you register your exact requirements with your local agents. That way you're going to know about properties before they even hit the market. Secondly then, it's about being as prepared as possible, and that's having all your documentation ready. That includes proof of funds, mortgage in principle, and having your solicitors ready to go. In this fast-paced market, sellers are not going to wait around, so you need to be ready to move quickly. Lastly, do your research. Make sure you know what your must-haves are, what your deal breakers are, and the areas you're looking for. And do as much of that research online, because you're not going to have a lot of time to view as many properties as you'd like with the speed that the market is moving. So now let's take a look at the rental market. With restrictions now easing and tenants now serving notice to move, we're now seeing unprecedented levels of property come into the rental market. And that's starting to have a slight downward pressure on rents. In Nottingham in the last 12 months, rents have slightly decreased by just 0.5%. And that now means that rents in Nottingham city centre now stand at £698 a month for a house and £663 per month for an apartment. So what we're seeing on the rental market is almost the opposite of the sales market, where the supply is now starting to outweigh the demand. And that's purely because of the amount of tenants that have now served notice and come onto the market. So what this means for landlords in this competitive market is that you need to be presenting your property in the best possible way, staging if possible, and secondly, being aware of what your competition is doing on pricing and adjust your strategy as you need to avoid any void periods. And some top tips for tenants is to make sure you register your exact requirements of what you're looking for with your local agents so that you're the first to know about suitable properties. Secondly, it's to make sure you're ready to move quickly. You've got everything ready for referencing and you've got your holding deposit ready to put down. This way you won't miss out on that perfect home when you find it. So I hope you found this market update useful, and if it prompted any questions at all about your circumstances or property, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. Don't forget to give this video the thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.